Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Wrestling Diaries proudly brings to you its host extraordinaire, Mitchell Rulaine. Hi, podcast show for the average Joe. This is the Inspiration Station. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a plethora of other platforms that host audio podcasts. Leave us a review, helps us show up more in searches and the algorithm and all that. For the video content, go to YouTube, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell right there for more content we release once to twice a week. This is the show where we find out what people wrestle with in life. I mean, really, we just talk to people for a little while, and then I ask them, what are you messing with? What are you struggling with? Today, I have a very, very dear friend that I've only known for not even a month.
Yeah.
We went on a men's retreat together. Mr. Seth, the super video guy, Farmer.
Wow.
Yeah, Matt has like an audio bit that's probably still playing right now that will be in the show, like an audience.
That's quite the intro.
Clapping for you, man. Yeah, well, I do those entrances now because people always assume this is about professional wrestling. So I'm like, well, hey, then I'm going to shine it on. I'm going to give somebody some kind of moniker and, announce them like they're a professional wrestler.
Wait, you didn't know that I'm a wrestler?
Oh, you are?
Well, no.
That's
not at all. I'm just
perfectly.
Just kidding.
Yeah, me and Matt used to be into pro wrestling. I mean, I still keep up with it every once in a while, like on YouTube. I don't even watch the WWE stuff anymore. I tune into AEW, which is like a newer brand.
Okay.
But they're really good. They also have an open promotion. Like in WWE, they can't wrestle for any other promotions, like they're on a contract. So they can't, but this company is open. So they mainly wrestle for them and they still get paid. And then they can go to New Japan or Ring of Honor and skip around. And that's pretty cool. It's like
you're speaking a different language right now.
Oh, well. You never got into professional wrestling even as a kid?
I missed that boat. No, I was into, I don't know, like The Hobbit.
I like The Hobbit too. I guess what got me into professional wrestling was Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, because he the wrestling scene in the movie, or
no. I grew up on. Well, I didn't grow up. Some of my first pieces of literature to ever pick up was my stepdad's old 1960s and 1970s Amazing Spider-Man books.
Okay,
and I picked them up, and before I could even read, and I was like, oh, what is this? This is so cool. Look at this guy in his colorful full face suit. And even then I didn't have the origin story. So I thought it's ironic because his origin story is he becomes a professional wrestler and is beating up all the guys. He's the skinny guy and he's beating up all these big muscle heads.
Right.
And then he makes a bunch of money and he has to learn the great power, great responsibility. Anyways, watch the movies, folks, or read the books. Anyways, I didn't realize that as a kid. I just thought it was really cool. And I love they wear the suit and the mask and all that other stuff. So then the first time I saw a professional wrestling bout was out in a Walmart parking lot. My sister worked at the deli at a Walmart. I was probably 4 or something like that. And this one of the guys, they both were wearing the spandex pants and kind of muscular. And then one of the guys had a full face mask on. And I was like, oh, that's that spider guy. I don't know what this is, but I love this because he looks like Spider-Man. And then from there, I just kept up with pro wrestling.
Wow.
And then years later, when I actually was old enough to read and comprehend Spider-Man and the literature of comic books, I was like, oh, his origin. He actually started out as a professional wrestler and made his money doing that before he started fighting bad guys. And I was like, oh, the irony.
This is your origin story. Your origin story is wrestling Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's it.
But let's go back to me.
Oh, right. Yeah. You're the guest, right? So when did the bad dreams start for you, Seth? Let's actually go into our origin story. So I'll let you tell the story, how we met, and why were you at that retreat, man?
The retreat, yeah, we met at a men's retreat called Level Up, and I knew the host, this guy named Brandon Snipes, good guy, and I knew some guys who had gone before. They were kind of twisting my arm. I actually wasn't going to go because I was supposed to work that weekend. Supposed to travel. I do video work, video production. Supposed to travel up to Illinois and shoot some stuff that weekend. Our shoot got moved, and I go, well, I told Brandon I would go if I had the chance, and I guess I'm bound by my word. So, all right, here we go.
So then, did you reschedule the video shoot in Illinois?
Yes, it was moved 1 week.
Okay.
Yep. But so I was a little nervous about going. I'm kind of naturally introverted, And you go into this thing where you're meeting all these guys, and it was there was some expectation of self-reflection and repentance or something like that, and I'm just going, I don't want that.
So, I mean, what was the main driving force to put you in that position? Was it just to do solid for your buddy Brandon, or
it was some of that? And then you met my business partner Reagan. He had gone, and he said, "Man, you should go. It's going to be really fun." And I think deep down, I knew, this would be really good for you. Meet some people and learn about yourself. But there's just that part of you, that lazy part of you, where you go, I'm good. I don't need to. I'm good. I don't want to do anything. I'll stay inside today.
I think that's the voice that keeps a lot of people from doing anything in life. Right?
Oh yeah,
like getting out there and seeing the sunshine, or like, I don't know, following their dreams. Maybe,
dude, we've all been there for sure. We got to just learn to not listen to it. But so I went, and it was a blast. Met a lot of great guys, and you and I kind of hit it off because we started talking about podcasting. I don't remember how it started exactly, but
yeah, I don't. I asked you because you, in one of our group circles in our workshops, we were all talking about things, and you were talking about how you're trying to like build your business.
Yeah.
And then you were talking about shooting things, and I wasn't exactly. I assumed you were doing something in like some kind of maybe show business or broadcasting. I wasn't sure. I was curious about what your business was, and then I think we were sitting on a couch, and I was like, "Oh, so what do you?
Yep.
What's your business?" And then you're like, "Oh, I do like a videography thing," and then from there, I was like, "Oh, I do podcasting." You go, "Oh, I do a podcast too."
Show business sounds better. I'm gonna start saying that.
You should.
I'm in show business.
I'm in show business. You should change your business card and have like lights and cameras and all that stuff.
Yep. It was an awesome time, awesome weekend. Great to meet you and all those other guys.
Yeah, same here. I'm so glad that we're staying, because I made that comment with you about like, I was like, yeah, we're all doing this and we're in deep with each other, but like, who is going to have a lasting impression? Like, who do you pick up and who do you keep with you? Like, is it going to be one of these things where we do this and then we all kind of fade out of obscurity? Nobody texts or calls, and there's no.
Yeah.
That's already kind of started happening. The group text is very desolate.
A little bit. I mean, we're busy. I pop in when I can, but yes, I think that will happen. But I think it's
just life, right?
It is just life, and I think the connections that are meant to happen, they'll happen.
Sure.
Like you and I will be. I'm sure you'll be at my funeral now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna sing at your funeral.
I'll die first. You'll sing? Okay.
Yeah, I'll sing there. You won't hear it. Well, you might. I don't know.
I'll hear it in heaven.
You hear it from far bound.
Or from hell. Either one, I'll hear it.
Either way, you're going to hear it. You made Matt laugh. That's a good one. He barely ever laughs at anything. So what was the biggest thing that you got out of the men's retreat? Or let me ask this question rather. What was your biggest surprise? Like, you were expecting to do like workouts, exercises, tough things, workshops, talking, reflecting, like you were saying.
Sure.
What was one of your biggest surprises about doing the men's retreat? And then what was your biggest takeaway from yourself personally?
Okay, let's see. Biggest surprise. I think the biggest surprise was I found that I was really interested in hearing people's stories. And that's not too surprising because I love doing interviews and documentaries and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I really was into listening to people and talking with them and maybe offering some encouragement to them. We at the end, we called it Words of Life, and we kind of went around the room and encouraged each other. And I really liked that. And I really enjoyed getting one-on-one with people and really learning about them and offering to help if I could. Didn't expect that going in. And I thought, maybe I should be doing stuff like that more. I don't know. So that surprised me. I loved it. And then the other was what was the takeaway?
Yeah, what was your biggest takeaway
about myself?
Yeah.
I guess I kind of answered that. Let me answer something. I'll put it a different way. Okay, here's one. It's I realized I need to learn how to cook because I was like no help in the kitchen.
Oh, really?
And
did they get mad at you?
No, they didn't. No, they were very gracious. They were very patient, which was great. And that's the kind of thing where you see that and you're so humbled by it, and by you don't deserve to be treated this way at all. They should say, you suck.
Hey man, just get out of here. Just go sit down. We'll do this.
Exactly. But no, they said they were very patient. And I thought, dude, it's time.
Whose team were you on? Like, who's in your team?
Brandon and Garrett.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Good. And they're both good cooks. Garrett taught me many things
nice.
about just the kitchen world. But I was very convicted by that. I went, you need to learn how to cook. So lately I've been really trying to make time. My girlfriend's a great cook and she loves to bake too. So I've just been trying to intentionally set aside time. So let's cook tonight. I want to learn. Teach me something. And it's kind of like a fun date.
Yeah.
Where because she knows everything, so I'm just the student.
Did your girlfriend notice any visible changes or even emotional changes in you after you got back from the retreat that she commented on?
She has not commented on. No, but okay. I hope she's noticed something. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah,
I'll ask her in her sleep when she'd least expect it.
Inception. Put in there, and then she'll wake up wanting to tell you for no reason at all.
I definitely have been trying to build some habits, like waking up early and immediately working out or exercising. That was cool. That stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And I don't really like to work out, but just getting the habit of doing something, some routine, going for a walk, going for a run.
Sure.
Doing something small like that. Like I don't know if I'll ever be into lifting weights, but just waking up and immediately getting active. I did really like that. I've been trying to stick with that.
Yeah, it's really good for your health. It's also for your mental health too, because it kind of teaches you some like deeper discipline like thing. Like about you like getting discipline about like your own personal well-being, I guess.
Totally. And after a few days, and I'm sure you could speak to this too, but after those 3 days, you kind of go, wow, we did that every day. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't really think I would do that, but we did.
Yeah.
It gives you some confidence.
Yeah, it really does. Waking up at 6 a.m, working out, then eating breakfast right after. Well, actually, no, it was eating breakfast. And then we did a reflection. We went off for like 20 or 30 minutes for reflection and prayer, meditation. It
was good. It was really cool.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever do another one of those again?
I would like to. I think I would only go if I could bring a friend and kind of, guide him through it or something like that. I think that is what would make it a new experience, is bringing someone I know and watching them go through it. Yeah,
honestly, my friend Giorgio, well, our mutual friend, but he's the one that got me to go. And so one of the reasons why he went again was because I went. Because he even told me, he was like, prior, he was like, I really want you to go, man, just because I feel like you'd really love this. Because he told me about this well before anyway. I just wasn't able to go the last time because of scheduling conflict. But he was like, and I also feel like it's going to predicate like whether he's like, because I think I'm going to go. He's like, but if you go, I'm 100% going to go. He's like, but if you don't, I don't know. I mean, I'll probably still go, maybe. I don't know. But I think being there with him. Here's the thing: like, even if it wasn't for Giorgio or me knowing anybody, I kind of loosely knew Brandon Snipes, sort of. But even not knowing anybody, I can get comfortable being uncomfortable. I like putting myself in the situations because I do get anxiety and nerves about that stuff. But it also is like this weird high for me. You know what I mean? Like. I kind of thrive on it. Like I'm like what is it? Is it ambivert, where you're like an extrovert and an introvert? Kind of. Yeah.
Never heard of that. That's cool.
And I'm kind of like that. Like I can be off to myself. Then other times I really need to get out and be in public and be in a crowd and all this stuff. So I could have definitely done it without Giorgio and still thrived and had fun and learned a lot and experienced a lot and all that stuff, made relationships. But having him there was just so much more warm because, he's like a really good friend of mine I've known for many years. And I love him, and it was, and I know it made him more comfortable too, having his buddy there. So, if you go again, bringing a friend probably be good.
Bring Matt.
There you go. You can bring Matt. I'll bring Terrence.
Okay.
And then we'll just, we'll watch as both of them squirm at eating liver and getting in an ice lake.
Oh, the liver was good. I liked it.
It actually is pretty good. It's, I think it's the texture that wigs people out. It's not so much the taste, because to me, it doesn't really taste like anything. It's not nasty, but it's not like delicious. It's just kind of neutral. But it's like the texture is kind of like, I don't know, kind of grainy, chalky.
Definitely.
Maybe.
Someone mentioned that it was metallic because it had a lot of iron.
No, I could see that.
And I thought, I never heard food described.
Maybe that's where the flavor comes.
I think so.
Alloy taste.
Yeah, definitely. I think I could see that, but I liked it.
Are you still continuing to eat it?
No, I don't know where to get. Dude, like I said, I don't know anything about cooking or food. So
Publix, man.
Publix has liver?
Go get calf liver. Yeah, I know because me and my peeps have been eating it. I actually just ate it night before last.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I'll
had
go
it
get
with,
some.
with some eggs and stuff like that. You don't have to. Do whatever you want, bro.
I'm bound by my word. I'll tell you this. Here's something interesting. A good discussion topic. I was vegetarian for like 12 years.
12 years?
Well, let me do the math. I'm 32, and I started when I was a senior in high school. And that's about 12 years, taking, I think, a year off, somewhere in the middle.
So was this just personal choice, health, or ethical, or a mix of all of that?
Some mix of all of that, for sure.
Okay.
Started as when you're a teenager and you don't know anything and you want to, define yourself and be different.
Sure.
Definitely part of that.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked it because it was, definitely an ethical standard I felt I wasn't getting from just, going to McDonald's or whatever. And I was trying all these different foods because you stop eating meat and you got to get creative.
Yeah.
So I would, that led to me eating things like tofu and falafel, stuff I would never eat otherwise, never have eaten otherwise. But I stopped being vegetarian late last year, I think it was.
Okay. Why'd you stop?
Well, it's basically because the Bible.
Okay. Let's go into that.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible that wants you to be vegetarian. And I was just thinking deeply about, what is the purpose of animals on earth? And the story of Noah and the flood, it's so interesting. When Adam and Eve come out of the garden, they don't eat animals. And there's no death in the garden. They only eat fruit in the garden.
Yeah.
No, there are animals there, but they don't eat them because there's no death. And then sin comes and things start dying. And Cain and Abel are offering things to God, but they're still not eating them. But then after Noah, and Noah's obedient, Noah's saved, and the animals are saved, God says, you can eat them now. And I just thought, what is that story saying? What's the point of that story?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird because the Bible doesn't really explain itself. The Bible doesn't say, here's what the story was about. It just kind of tells it.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's interpretive, right?
Yeah, it definitely. So I was just kind of going in my mind. I mean, I'm not sure if I have a good answer for why the story is that way, but
so is that the sole reason? I'm not poking fun. Is that like the sole reason?
It's pretty much it. And
Okay.
along with just a more broad change in my life where I started to take the Bible more seriously.
Yeah.
But I just went, what the story's saying something about the relationship between man and animals.
Yeah. What do you say to somebody who, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
What do you say to somebody though that doesn't, they're like, that's ridiculous. So what can my answer be? Because that's dumb.
I would say,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying somebody else should say that.
I would say, I get it. I would say it is kind of dumb. It sounds kind of dumb. You based your morality off a story you read in a book. And the story.
If some of my atheist friends are listening to this, they're like, "Oh, this guy, I thought he was smart at first." I'm kidding.
Probably.
They wouldn't say that. Maybe I don't know.
They might. It's okay. But because I know they're the dumb ones.
Boom, buzzing.
Just kidding. No, it does seem kind of dumb because it's this weird story, and it's a story. It's in a book that's thousands of years old, and it's just why are you looking for ethical hints and tips in the 21st century global meat market?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I get it. It sounds dumb.
Yeah.
But for me, the reason I love video and films and storytelling, that's really my thing, is storytelling. And that's why I love the Bible. It's like, I don't know if everything in the Bible literally happened. In fact, I'm quite sure not everything did literally happen, but there's stories, and the stories.
Now you'll have some Christians be like, how dare you? It's all literal. What's wrong with you?
I know, right?
Everybody's coming after you now, man.
I know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's true. I just got to be real about it, though. But I read the Bible and I go, I don't think these are even meant to be literal, because there's a lot of poetry in the stories. And just a quick example, in Genesis, it's got this beautiful poetic imagery. Like when God is creating the earth and the sky, he separates the waters from the waters. What is that? And it's referring to the sky as another body of water. It's this poetic thing.
Interesting.
And I look at that and I think it's not meant to be literal. It's like the storyteller's saying something. And he's saying something true and interesting. But it's It's just not literal. So anyway, I started to look at the Bible that way, and I got to Noah, and I'm going, did the flood happen? Maybe. I don't know. Nobody knows. But the story's telling me something, and I got to deal with what the story's telling me.
Yeah. You sound like Matthew McConaughey.
Really?
He was in an interview. He was talking about like certain things about his faith because he's a Christian, and he was like, "Well, there's like certain things in the Bible." Like he was like talking about like the burning bush or something. He's like, "I don't know what to do with that." It's like, but that's not what I take from it. I don't know what to do with that stuff. That's not what I do. Is brotherhood and fellowship and salvation and helping your fellow man. Like that's what I take from that. That's my. I don't know what to do with. That's what he was saying in like an interview. All right. But
totally, there's some crazy stuff in that book, but that's what makes it interesting.
Agreed.
You read a passage and you just think, what in the hell was that? What the heck was that about?
Yeah.
Can I say hell on this podcast?
I mean, you can say it. You can say whatever.
Oh, he'll bleep. Yeah, Matt will bleep it out. He told me
won't
that.
bleep hell though. Hell's like we stay within what PG-13, Matt. Yeah, the confines of PG-13. So we can probably squeak out one F word. I'm kidding. Oh man, but go on.
I mean, that's pretty much that's a vegetarian story. Broader thing about me.
Also, I want to ask real quick though, just because I'm curious. Now, I used to date somebody who initially claimed that they were a vegetarian, but she ate seafood. She ate fish and mollusks and shellfish and all that stuff.
Poser.
Right. And I was like, well, you're not vegetarian because a vegetarian is just vegetables. And she was like, well, fish isn't meat. And I was like, what? I was like, no. Fish, if you look at the food pyramid, fish is in there with like the ham hock and the chicken leg and the steak. It's definitely, and without even using the food pyramid. I mean, it's a living animal's flesh. It's meat. And so she's
agree.
A pescatarian. And then later she's like, okay. So then she changed. She's like, okay, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm pescatarian.
Okay. Oh, you got through to her. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I got that. But initially for years, she was like saying she was a vegetarian, but was still eating seafood.
I can't tell you how many times people ask me that. I'll say I'm vegetarian and they'll say, do you eat fish? And to me, the answer was, I already answered that question.
Right. So apparently it's not just my ex-girlfriend, but it's that's a thing. Well,
it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, the science says if you're eating like seafood, if you're eating fish and stuff like that, that's meat. Okay. I don't know how to explain this point. Now there's an argument there that mollusks, like the clams and stuff like that, are mussels and stuff are not like, it's meat textured, but it's not like real meat because like mollusks and stuff have like a less complex system than even a plant does or something. There's a lot of like debate on that one. So I don't really. I asked a guy who was a vegan. He was on my show. I asked him how he felt about that, and he was like, "Yeah, I've seen a lot of literature on it that says that like eating like mussels and clam and stuff like that is not, or oysters, I guess. That would fall in the same category, I guess." He's like, it's not technically because they're more like plants than they are like actual living animals.
Right. No nervous system or brain.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Matt? What would you say the debate on that is? Are they meat or are they not meat?
Well, I don't know. Just eat what you want.
Okay.
Just eat what you want.
If it tastes good, I mean, who am I to judge?
Let's eat Matt.
Crayons it is.
He looks
and Matt,
tasty.
Apparently. Like, he's all right. He's a cannibal as well, ladies and gentlemen.
I've gone full 180 from vegetarian to cannibal.
So did you find when you stopped eating just vegetables and went back to meat, did you get sick or have any weird withdrawals or anything like that?
Not at all. Okay. And I've heard people say that for years. And all I can say is that was not my experience whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, it's just because, it happens with some people just because if you're eating that for so long, and your body adapts to it, and then you introduce something else. It's like that with healthy stuff, dude. When I was like a little kid, I grew up on terrible food, processed stuff, raviolis, Vienna sausages, bologna sandwiches, fast food. And then when I met like
that all sounds good.
It is good, but like one of my closest friends, his mom's like a health buff, and she'd go to GNC all the time. She made like juice drinks, and I remember the first time I was probably like 12 or 13. And she made me and my friend Thomas carrot drinks. And carrot juice, from carrots. She's like, oh, it's very good, vitamin A. And it actually tastes sweet, because there's sugar in carrots. I was like, oh, cool. This should be no problem. I don't like carrots, but it should be fine. And the first sip I took of it, dude, I literally gagged. Like, it made me sick. I had to give it to my friend and have him drink it. And then I just told her that I drank it. I was like, oh, this is delicious. I was like, thanks, man. It made me sick. Like, if I would have drank more, I absolutely, without a doubt, would have gotten sick and thrown up.
Because you being a kid, you think it's got sugar and you think Kool-Aid.
Sure.
You're expecting Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Oh, orange Kool-Aid.
Right.
With pulp and stockiness in it. But I was like, and I remember at that point being so confused. I was like, this is weird though. Why would it? I don't like carrots, but I've eaten them before. I've never gagged. Why would I gag on it? Like, it felt the same way. Like, I felt like when I've gotten like a stomach bug, like nausea and all this stuff from just drinking it.
Wow.
I was like, what is the deal? It's healthy. It should be. And I realized later it's because like my body was not used to like pure, like whole nutrition like that. And I was getting it in a concentrated dose, you know? Because like one glass of that is like 10 carrots or more. So it'd be like the equivalent of you eating like a whole bag of carrots. Yeah. And so it made me, and then I've actually read literature on it and it was like, oh yeah, so your body's not adapted to it. So even the stuff that's good for you, it will make you very ill sometimes because your body's like, oh, we're not used to this. Don't do this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't trust your body.
That's right.
Interesting.
At all. Never.
Never?
Yeah. Ask any man.
Oh, well, yes. There is that.
I made Matt laugh. That's good. I need to start having a tally every time I make Matt giggle. He's the sentinel, the century.
He's
so anyways,
very stoic man.
So you have a company. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
What's the name of your company? What is it? What do you offer? What do you do? Video stuff, but let's go into it.
The company is called Uriel Media. It's an LLC. And Uriel is a Bible adjacent name. It's not in the Bible, but it's in Bible lore, sort of extra biblical text like the Book of Enoch. And it's traditionally, Uriel is the name of one of the archangels. You got 4 archangels. Again, not explicitly in the Bible, but kind of in that world: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. And Uriel it's a name that means the flame of God or the light of God. And I was just very taken with that because I'm looking for things to name my company. And I was taken with the idea of something being kindled, like a light being kindled. The light,
Right.
Light's a beautiful metaphor. And also I love Lord of the Rings. You remember when Gandalf says, "I'm a servant of the secret fire"?
Yes.
Just awesome.
Okay.
So, and in Lord of the Rings, the secret fire is another name for it is the flame eternal. As the thing Gandalf serves. So it's just cool. And I was looking for a word that like captured that, and Uriel was pretty close.
I'm assuming in you being a Christian and then also a really big fan of Lord of the Rings, you do realize that J.R. Tolkien has like there's a lot of Christian undertones.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very Catholic. In particular, he's very Catholic.
Yeah.
I'm not a Catholic, but the Catholics they tend to be way better at art than Protestants. Tolkien is a great example of that. Just their imagination is just their understanding of metaphor and imagery. It just tends to be way more developed than Protestants, which is awesome. But anyway, yes, love Lord of the Rings and was trying to. I was working for a university and was kind of unhappy there because was just looking, always kind of wanted to do my own thing and was somewhat unhappy there. I was kind of tapped out working in their video department. Basically, working in a video department like that, video house, whatever, working for a university, you don't have a lot of creativity. And you're going to be held to a certain standard and maybe even a worldview that is perhaps not your own, especially if you're a Christian, you're trying to be Christian, which I was. So I thought, well, you're still young enough. You don't have any kids. If you're going to try to do your own thing, now's the time. It really is. Now's the time. Because if you wait till you're like 40, it's probably going to be too late by then.
Yeah. Maybe.
So,
There's probably some 40 or 50-year-olds out there like, oh,
that's true.
I did it, man.
Definitely. But for whatever
reason. It's just harder.
Yeah, I would say
much
so.
harder. Yeah.
I would say so. But for whatever reason, I just went, dude, now's the time. Just do it. And it was, I had good benefits at that job and it was steady paycheck. And it was, it was a real leap of faith, but I just felt led to do it. And then Things been going pretty well. I've got two partners. We've got a creative partner and then like an accounting partner. But our mission is just to offer high quality artistic video work that is kind of underscored by a Christian worldview, Christian values. Not that the work has to be Christian, but we are not going to be shy about that as what is informing the work. I guess kind of like Chick-fil-A.
So this question is going to seem like it's being silly or like I'm heckling it. It's really not. It's going to sound funny either way, though. But so what if like a client came to you and they were absolutely openly and knowledgeably,
yes,
like devil worshippers, like they worship Satan, to go to the Church of Satan, and
Yeah.
they need you to do a video that they're doing a trailer to promote their church,
yes,
you know, and all that. Like, what do you do there?
that would call for discernment. And where I am right now, because we've had
Let's say they keep, and they also keep it professional. They don't,
Right.
they know, maybe they know you're Christian, so but they don't ask you to do anything outside of your morals or beliefs. They just want you to do the video.
Totally. It's a great question. And I don't know if there's a perfect answer for situations like that. We have been involved in a couple of them, nowhere near like that extreme, but
Okay.
a couple of times we have had to have some discernment. And I would just say, we are willing to work with anyone. We want to serve people. Because I think if you're serving people, you're spreading the gospel in some way.
Okay.
I really believe that. And service is paramount to a Christian's life. But, you know, I would try to find a way to serve them if I could. But I think where I draw the line is if in the work we are creating, because it's an inherently creative business.
Mhm.
And every time I make something, even if it's just a little commercial or like a social media ad, you know, I'm putting my spirit and my soul, my creativity into that. So I have to, really what it comes down to is if you want a high quality thing, I can't not put myself into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it comes down to for me, it would come down to what is the message of the particular thing you want me to do, right? If you want me to just help you out and shoot your wedding or birthday party or something, or I don't know.
They're baptizing some baby into the fires of hell, man.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that. I don't think so. But
No, it's metaphoric. They're just going to use water that has red food coloring in it. I guess. I don't know. There's probably like a devil worshiper watching this. He's like, that ass completely wrong.
But I would draw the line that if it called for me to create something that objectively stated something I don't believe.
Okay. That's fair enough.
And where we kind of got into that was we did a video for this, what is it called? It's this private school in Birmingham. And I will not name them, but it's this private school. It's pretty interesting. And it's kind of a holistic education thing where it's a great idea, honestly. They say, we don't want to just educate the child on, you know, things that they need that we think will be marketable. They need to learn art, they need to learn music, they need to be spiritually developed, they need to learn about culture as well as math, science. And I thought, that's a good idea. I think children do need that. I'm not going to disagree. But, you know, reading into their beliefs and, you know, their concept of the spiritual life of a child and what a child needs I do not agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of had to parse that. And we ended up going, well, they just want us to shoot an event for them. We're not stating anything. The video is not stating anything. We're going to help them out and it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were to ever make maybe a promotional ad for them, advocating for their worldview,
Have a disclaimer.
we might just not do it at that point.
Okay.
But that was one where we had to be a little, you know, a little discerning. And there was one more where we were doing this ad for this media company. And it was a spec ad, which...
What's a spec ad?
It's a strange thing, but basically it's kind of a fake ad. I mean, you're going to make it exists, but it's an ad used to present an idea or to help sell something else.
Okay.
So we did that, and it was a tourism ad for Mississippi, and we were traveling all through Mississippi, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great shoot. They paid us well, but the script had this line that we were a little uncomfortable by it. And it said something like, it was about college football, Mississippi State. It said something like, where stadiums are beacons. No, where stadiums are temples, altars, something like that. And people come to worship. And
It's kind of true.
That's the thing. It is kind of true. But even though it's true, I don't want to make something that endorses that.
Sure.
So we just said, look, can we just maybe work on this line? And they let us do it. It was cool. We said, we're just trying to be true to our beliefs. And they were respectful. And they said, yeah, we can work on it together. We can change the line.
I just got and not try to take away from what you're saying, but I've got like this moment of clarity that just kind of hit me on something. I always when I compare like the political unrest that goes on in this country about like you got to be Republican or Democrat, and if you're not one or the other, you're a piece of crap, and how the far left is going crazy or whatever, cancel culture. And I always like relate that to like it's almost as silly as like the Alabama Auburn rivalry, the Iron Bowl stuff, because it's just a game, but people get so serious that it does become this like way of living, and people literally fight and bleed, and people have died over a game, a football game.
Yeah.
And I was like, as silly as that is, people just don't step outside of it. And so I kind of like, with like the way people are divided in this country, I always relate it to that. But when we were talking about like people are going there, it's like an altar and they're like worshiping it. They really do. People love like their football and their other things like so much. They are kind of worshing it. Yeah. It's like their idol and thing.
I agree.
But my moment of clarity was that, oh, well, that's the same way like politics and stuff work. Like when somebody is so obsessed in their own like echo bubble of like, oh, this is how politically we should do things. Yep. And they can't have nuance, and they can't have an open mind, and they can't still have peace with somebody of conflict. Then they're like to the point of worship. It's like their worship. It's their religion. And so I was like, oh, wow, I never really thought about that, but it becomes this religious thing.
I agree. We all have idols. We do.
That's wild.
And
I'm even saying this from a non, like, I am a believer, but I'm saying it from like a neutral, like, standpoint of me just looking at this like unbiasedly. And that's what I see playing out there.
I agree. I'm with you. I think I think we all have idols, and we just have to do our best to be honest about it and walk away from them when we realize what we're worshiping, what we're idolizing.
And is it worth it, right? Is it worth like betraying your brother, your friend? Or
I would say it's always worth it to walk away from an idol, but it can be very hard.
Well, no, I just mean is like following whatever trend it is, your political affiliations, your sports team. Is that
right?
Is that should you walk away from everybody else?
Sure.
Sorry, I didn't want to turn this into like a weird like pseudo political rant.
It's all good.
It came into my head, and I was like, I really got to get this out because I'll end up forgetting it, and it'll just be lost information for the rest of my life.
I'm with you,
Maybe,
dude.
I don't know.
I'm with you. We can talk politics if you want to.
But going further, so back to like the videography stuff. So like what when you were little, what was something that did you want to do this? Did you just like shoot movies, or like what was like when you were a kid? Like what was your dream thing?
Was always interested in some kind of visual arts. I can draw pretty well. I was always good at drawing from a young age, and just generally pretty creative. But fell in love with movies pretty early. I don't know why my parents did this. Probably a bad idea, but they bought me cable TV when I was like 4 or 5.
Yikes.
And I had a VCR. And I was an only child for a long time, so I would just watch movies all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember watching, in particular, Toy Story 1 and Star Wars A New Hope, Episode 4. I would just wear those VHS tapes out. And I remember watching those. And at a certain point, even then, I remember this, and it's just a gift at this point. I would not watch them for entertainment. I would watch them to learn. Even as a 5-year-old, I'm going, oh, well, why is Woody acting like this? Why is the story doing this? And just noticing shots and stuff like that. That's just a gift and a talent that I was given. But always interested in movies, definitely, and always just a heart for storytelling. I would write stories, or draw stories, or build stories and worlds out of Lego, stuff like that. So it really all comes from there. Just always interested in stuff like fantasy and storytelling and films. And I kind of took a crazy windy path to actually end up being in a field where I can do that. But it just by the grace of God, I'm there, and I'm using my gift to help serve people and tell stories.
Do you think one day that is it even a goal for you to like try to make a movie one day? Is
yes, I would certainly love to. I've made short films in the past. Right now, that's one of the long-term goals of the company is two big goals. Number one is provide a place where similar people can come and offer a place for them to work.
Yeah.
Some sort of a brotherhood. What am I trying to say? Like a fortress of solitude for people to come. That's not the right word, but anyway.
No, that's good.
Because it's a tough market out there. Because if you entertainment industry is very trendy, right? It's always following trends, and it's not very creative, right? If you want to be creative and you want to produce high quality work, your immediate thought is, well, I should go to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
But then, maybe you're going to compromise on your values. You're going to compromise on the story you want to tell because there's always something hot you got to be doing, you got to be making, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of that is, I think if you think that Hollywood and films, television, Netflix, whatever, if you think that's the only place to be creative, and I think most people do think that way, most young film students, they're missing a whole beautiful world of serving local people. There are businesses around that need videos, that need short films, they need advertisements, weddings. All these things, there are all these opportunities out there, and you can do them artistically and creatively, and you can really say something with them. I truly believe that. So anyway, I would love to provide a place for people to come and be creative and tell stories and be artistically fulfilled outside of kind of the Hollywood machine, and something that maybe serves a local community more too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
100%.
that's one of the goals. And along with that goal is doing that, hopefully one day, I pray that we'll have a brand or a space to do our own original content, original stories, things like that.
That's awesome, man. And I told you this before. I'll keep saying it again, but absolutely at some point in the near future, like you guys have got to do some content for us.
Sure.
Definitely a trailer or something.
Yeah.
I don't even like you as the artist, like looking at my podcast and what me and Matt do here, what would you like if we were about to build a video for ourselves, what would you recommend? What would it look like?
Sure. Well,
just walk us through that.
What just came to mind was probably like a 30-second ad or trailer you could put on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I would do, it could be both of you, probably just you though, since you're the host, you're the face.
Yeah.
You kind of on camera, center frame, talking directly to camera. Hey, I'm Mitchell. This is the Wrestling Diaries. It's just you explaining what is the show,
mm-hmm.
and intercut with your interview shot. It's, probably artistic black and white footage of just shooting a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Basically B-roll coverage of you in the podcast. Nice coverage of your setup here, mics, lights, all that stuff. Just make it look kind of sexy and awesome.
Yeah.
30-second ad with some great shots, some coverage of you doing the podcast. Showed a couple different guests in there. And then maybe, that's pretty, that would be the pitch, I think. And then one other thing I might add is some testimonials from guests, if you could squeeze that in there.
Oh, dude, that would be sick.
Yep.
That would be really cool.
What do you think?
It sounds good. What do you think, Matt? Sound like a good idea?
Yeah, it sounds like some solid stuff to me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
This guy is an artiste.
Yeah, you're absolutely a visionary. Like with the way you just like laid that, and I knew you were going to do that, and I wanted to hear you do it and articulate it on the show. So now it's recorded, so everybody can see like this is how your mind works. But yeah, you're absolutely a visionary.
It was cold. It was cold. We didn't plan that.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
I
a
appreciate
visionary. I like that, man. I mean, because I've seen your work though too. Like I'm not just saying this because you did that, and I know you and you're my friend or whatever. But like I've seen your work. It's good work.
Oh, thanks.
It's absolutely good work. Now I'm not an expert in that field, but like I know what looks good, what's aesthetically pleasing to the eye and the ear, and it's good stuff for me anyway.
I appreciate it, man.
But, yeah.
I just have to give thanks to my partner, Reagan, great creative brother. He's taught me a lot, and I've taught him some things. We just work really well together. We've always done our best work with each other. So got to give thanks to him and just to the Father for giving me these gifts, honestly.
Heck yeah, man. One thing I wanted to point out and tell you, I was going to wait maybe towards the end of the show because it seems like something I'd say at the end, but if I don't say it now, I'm going to forget. You are like more of a quiet person to yourself. You are more introverted. I could tell that from the retreat we were on. But the last 2 days, I've seen you more open
Yeah.
than I've ever seen. And I've only known you for like 3 weeks though. But like yesterday with your friend Reagan, like you guys, like just you were talking more and you're feeding off of him. I can tell you are really good pals.
Yeah.
And then today on the show, dude, you're a natural, man. Like you actually got more lively, more talkative. Your sense of humor was amplified.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're definitely built for this kind of stuff, dude.
Well, I appreciate
no
it.
doubt whatsoever.
I do better in one-on-one than big groups.
Okay.
Big groups, I get uncomfortable. I want to go away.
Yeah.
But stuff like this, I'm cool. I'll joke around.
That's pretty cool, man. It's almost like I'm getting to see another side of you that I didn't get to see at the retreat, and it's very refreshing.
Well, hey, that's part of your philosophy, right? And you're telling me sort of your ideas behind the podcast. Wasn't that one of them?
Oh yeah, bringing people out. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Just that. You see, I'm thinking how to help you articulate your own show, your own story.
That's awesome, dude. So, real quick, I'm going to go into you talked a lot about God and stuff. Obviously, you are a believer and a follower of the Bible and all these things, but you weren't always. And you told me the story, but I want you to tell it again on the podcast, if you will, sir, about how you grew up in the typical. You're in the South or in the Bible Belt. Most people are growing up in religious households, church, Southern Baptist, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You grew up in that. But then you got away from that and you actually were a professed atheist for years.
Yeah, probably 10 years.
10 years, a decade of your life of that. And then you came back to being a believer, like you're a believer. Like, can we, what's that story look like? Tell the people out there.
Sure, dude. I'll try to give the most artfully condensed version I can.
Okay.
Because at a certain point, it's just my life story. But,
your testimony, bro.
Yeah, it is. But, so basically, my mom had me when she was young, out of wedlock. And so she was 19, I think. My biological father was 19. And I was not born Seth Farmer. I was born Seth Stone. Nice alliterative, like comic book name.
Sure.
Seth Stone. But they divorced when they were pretty young. I don't remember it. I would have been probably 1 or 2. And, he was kind of in and out of my life. And he is a good man. We have a good relationship now, my biological father and I, but just was not really around when I was young. But totally forgiven. He's a good guy. He's got a family now. So I just want to emphasize that. But anyway, so I'm kind of, 5-6 years old, no real dad, and my mom's dating, and finally she remarries. She marries a good man named Arthur Farmer, and he's my stepdad for a few years. They have a child. They have their own natural child. So I technically have a half sister at this point. And I think I'm 9 when that happens. 2 years later, they have another sister. So I've got another daughter. So I have 2 sisters. And then when I'm about 12 or 13, I don't remember exactly, early 2000s, I'm born in 89. So yeah, it would have been 2001, 2002, something like that. Mr. Farmer adopts me and I become Seth Farmer, a new creation.
This isn't even my final form.
Right. But I'm officially adopted. He is legally my father now. And that's the name I have today. I do consider him my father because he was just the man who raised me. But because we were not blood and because of just the nature of adoption and the nature of when you have a life like that, when you have no dad, and then you have kind of this, not your dad, but he is your dad, it just creates tension. It just does. And I'm grateful for it, honestly, because it's just all, everything in your life, you just look back and it's all a puzzle piece. At least that's what I think. It's all a puzzle piece building you into something. Yeah. It's a Lego brick by Lego brick building you up into just what you're supposed to be. But anyway, he was a good man. We loved each other. He was a good dad. But there was just always this tension between us, and he was a believer, and of course, rebellious youth. That just happens with all young men, I think, at some age.
Sure.
I get into my 20s, late teens, 20s, and I start to really rebel. And of course, there's this undercurrent of, he's not even my natural blood father. So I reject Christianity because I look at Christianity, the way I was raised doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Bible doesn't make a lot of sense. These stories, these are obviously not true stories. It's obviously mythology mixed with history, whatever. And I still think that's a healthy perspective for a Christian to have, is to ask questions like that. I really do.
Okay.
But for me, it was just a step one on a million mile journey. Was just starting to ask questions like that.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I became an atheist and was just kind of this. I really look back on that version of myself with a lot of regret, because I just know I was this militant, angry atheist who just loved to argue, and I feel bad about it, but it's just the person I was at that time. So I'd argue with my dad or argue with coworkers. I mean, I must have been just a nightmare to be around. And the grace they showed me, the patience they showed me, was just, I just can't think of enough. Didn't deserve it at all. But so what really changed is, as you get older, you start to mellow out. You start to learn, what life's really about. It's not all about you. Not about you at all, really. So I started to mellow out as I aged. And finally, my dad, Mr. Farmer, who adopted me, he passed away. He died in a car accident in 2017. And he was, like I said, he was a great dad. I have nothing but love for him. When somebody dies, you just forget all the bad stuff. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Yes.
And it's just
because it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's only love after that.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. I actually love him more now than I did when he was alive, which is crazy, but it's the truth. Because I just appreciate him more now, the older I am. But anyway, so he dies, and he dies because he's out drinking. He'd always struggled with alcoholism, and it was just his demon. That was his cross to bear. He's always struggled with it, with denying that. He was out drinking one night and just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. And he's hit by a car. And when that happens, when your dad is just removed from your life like that, I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody, but for me, it just instantly changed me immediately. I mean, pretty much overnight, because I've got a mom who, they were divorced at this point, a mom with no husband, 2 little sisters with no dad. And suddenly I'm this imperfect, half-formed human, barely even an adult, but suddenly I'm the older brother who, I just remember thinking, you're going to have to be something like their dad to them now. And I don't think I'm good at that, but I try to, something clicked to me. I just went, you're responsible for other people now, not just yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it just changes you. That'll change a guy. You've got a kid. I'm sure you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not that I know what it's like to be a dad, but anyway, it's like a switch is flipped, right?
Yeah. It's a completely new perspective that nobody can prepare you for, no matter what they say or how many videos are out there, or how many books you read.
Right.
It's just something you have to experience. It's like living, right? You won't know a certain amount of wisdom until you've lived it, and that's it. Nobody can teach you that.
Absolutely. So, something like that, it just changes you. And I started to be more open to, fatherly wisdom, because I was suddenly in a position where I needed something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lost in this maelstrom of, what do I need to do? What career do I need to, because I'm working at a TV station at this time. And of course, American culture is just insanely divided, as you mentioned. And there's no, we fight over what's true today. And
yeah.
Through that whole maelstrom, culture wars, all that stuff, I just hear, and I don't want to say like I audibly heard a voice, but I felt a call of something, because I knew, I believed that there was, even though we've got this culture world, this maelstrom, where it seems like nothing's true and people are arguing over time and people are arguing all the time, and it seems like people will never agree on anything. I just went, I know I believe in the truth. I believe that truth exists. Despite all this evidence to the contrary, I believe that truth exists.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I can hear the sound of truth calling to me. And that just led me eventually, even though I dismissed the Bible as a piece of trash, as a rag written by ancient barbarians and racists and slaveholders, and I just went, you just need to read the Bible. You need to open that book up, because it seems like our entire civilization kind of came out of that book like a flower or a tree. So I started reading, and eventually I got to Jesus, to the Gospels, and I just went, whoa, this guy, there's something about this dude. And I'm approaching the Bible from this more of a secular perspective, to be honest.
Yeah.
More of a, like I said, I always loved storytelling. And I love films, and I don't care if a film is fictionally true or factually true, rather, fantasy, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. That stuff's very important to me. And I went, you should read the Bible the way you watch Star Wars, the way you read Lord of the Rings. They don't worry about whether or not it's true, whether it factually happened, whatever. Just read the story. What is the story saying? What is the character of Jesus? I could understand Jesus as a character in a story.
Right.
Rather than this guy was God. That's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, because when you approach it with that angle, for me anyway, I was trying to criticize everything. But when you just approach it as a story, you're just into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started to read it like that, and I just went, this Jesus guy, this guy's cool. He's interesting. And there's no other character like this in fiction, on films and books. There's no one else like this guy. They're just radically unique. And it was like a fish hook. I just got hooked. And I don't understand everything this dude's saying, this Jesus guy, but he's compelling, he's interesting. I want to keep reading. And the more I read, the more I was just convicted by what he said. And, many times in the Bible, he'll just, like, he walks up to Matthew, doesn't say anything. Walks up to Matthew and he says, follow me. And Matthew does. Eventually I got to a point where I just was in a position like that. And I just thought, this guy, I'm going to follow this guy. This makes more sense to me than anything else right now. And all of that to me is just the life I've had, interesting relationships with father figures, like not having a dad and then kind of having one and then being adopted and then losing the adopted father. I had to lose the earthly father to understand what the true father, the heavenly father was. Mm-hmm. And I felt that calling, and I saw that in Jesus. And of course, Jesus talks about the Father all the time. My Father, I and the Father are one. Anyway, I read that stuff and I feel like I know what he's saying, or at the very least, I'm just so compelled by it that it's taken up my mind. It's like I've downloaded some new software reading the Bible.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story, man. I feel like even for somebody that's not a Christian or not a believer, I feel like it would be hard not to get some kind of like heartfelt moment from that story, because it's a really, really powerful story.
Yeah.
But what would you say though to somebody that would still be like, oh, that's just obviously this guy, he went through a lot of psychological, emotional trauma because he lost his dad in a dramatic, painful way. Mm-hmm. And so he's just using this weird fantasy, this fakeness as a Band-Aid. Yeah. He's using it as a scapegoat. It's escapism. It caused like psychological trauma to him. And so he's just using this foolishness, like the way somebody would, I don't know, get into eating more or drinking or watching TV or becoming a recluse.
Right.
Like, what would you say to somebody that would say that about your journey here?
That's interesting. I'm triggered. Just kidding.
That's what I do, man. I trigger people.
No, that's a good question. Hey, maybe that's the case. I don't know. That's the kind of thing we'll have to check back in 50 years.
Okay.
But I think it's a good question. I do. For me, it's almost a deeper question than Christianity or Jesus at that point. Because, like I said, I was approaching that book from this more secular perspective of just, what is the story even saying? Let me just interface with it as a story. So that's more of a critique of a guy who loves Star Wars and loves Lord of the Rings and is looking for truth in ridiculous places.
Yeah.
I do believe that the Bible and Jesus offers the truth.
Yeah.
But I think I would say to that person that you're asking a bigger question than you realize. Because you're really asking the question of, are stories valuable or not at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you, I would break that down to, why would you believe any story? Why would you watch any movie at that point?
Yeah.
Because it's all just a psychological wet dream meant to make you feel better, right?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. But stories are very important. They're how we organize our lives. And we wouldn't exist day to day without stories.
I couldn't agree more, Seth. In partial relation in that, not to try to make levity of this, because this is pretty heavy stuff and pretty deep stuff we're talking about. But like we talked about professional wrestling earlier. My older brother always used to like heckle me and haggle me about like liking it. He was like, man, why do you like this stupid shit? Like, it's all fake, man. They're in like man panties and they're fake punching each other. That's not real fighting and stuff. That's fake. It's dumb. And I was like, okay, well, I know that, but it's fun. I like the stories and the fighting looks cool and stuff. And I go, why do you like Die Hard or Lethal Weapon so much?
Mm-hmm.
It's fake.
Mm-hmm.
They're not real. In fact, the stunts they do in wrestling are a lot more physical and it's happening live. These are scenes that are cut and it's fake. They don't have real guns. He didn't really just shoot that guy or like beat up 10 dudes and they all took turns trying to fight him and stuff. That's not real world. Why do you like that? And he was like, whatever, man. He just walked off.
Dude, it's a good question. That's a great point. I think maybe I didn't get the wrestler starter pack. I got the Star Wars starter pack. You got the wrestler starter pack.
Yeah.
But I think I could have gotten the wrestler starter pack if I was dealt, different hands.
But I know what you mean. Stories exist for a reason and they are powerful. And I think it's a lesson. It's a tool for us people to take from, no matter what you believe, right?
It's a way.
I'm 100% behind you on that.
It's a way to tell the truth without facts, I think. Is facts, actually, I'm not even sure if facts can tell the truth. I mean, we could measure this room. We could get the exact square footage. And that's a fact. What does that tell you about this room and what happens in here? And the human interactions, it doesn't tell you anything about it.
Yeah.
So facts are not everything. Stories are what really, really get at that truth.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Like 50 years from now, if this room still exists and it's all stripped bare and there's nothing in here, people could analyze it like you're saying, and they might not ever know that this stuff happened here or whatever's happened here.
Absolutely.
Very good point. All they know is like these basic things, but they don't know like the deeper meaning behind what this room could represent.
Totally.
Wow. Yeah.
It's cool at wrestling. Something about that. Love the way you described it, that you like the stories and the fighting. That's just, there's something about that. Little boys need some kind of action and heroics. They need to see that stuff.
Sure.
I don't get it exactly.
Yeah.
What is your son into?
He's dinosaurs, Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles.
Why the heroes?
I don't know.
I don't. Well, what?
But it's funny because it's all stuff I liked growing up.
Definitely.
I was obsessed with dinosaurs. I would read the books, the chapters on the Cretaceous and Mesozoic periods, and it wasn't even part of the curriculum. I would just read it off by myself because I was so fascinated by it.
Totally.
And then Spider-Man, obviously, that origin story. That's how I was first introduced to kind of fictional characters. And Ninja Turtles, I just grew up a kid in the 90s.
There's something about the heroism. Kids like it. Little boys in particular, they need the heroism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it was at some point, I just had to admit to myself, all this stuff you love, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, just all these stories you love, they're just the Bible. That's just all they are. And once I admitted that, it was just like dominoes, one after the other.
Amen. I usually ask I usually ask people what they wrestle with, but I feel like your testimony and stuff is like, that was just really good. And I like, sometimes I don't ask people, what do you wrestle with? What are the demons and monsters on your bed or in your closet? I don't know if I want to ask you that now because I don't know if I feel it. What I will ask you before we close up though is, based on who you are as a person and the things that you do in life and the aspirations you have as a man, as a follower of God, as a business owner, as a lover, as a son, as a whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What does your legacy look like? What do you want to leave behind on this world? Hypothetically, one day when you are gone, what do they say about Seth? What hymns do they write? What poems do they recite? What's etched into your gravestone?
Well, I would hope they don't write anything about me too much. I would like to leave behind with my company something that lasts and continues to help people like me who are looking for a place to be artistic and tell really good stories. I would like to leave that behind, a place for people to exercise their gifts and their talents. I think that's important. We need that in life. We need a place to be creative. I would like to start something, and I would pray that would continue. And then I don't have any kids. I would like to reproduce at some point. So
I love you get so technical with it. I like to reproduce.
I would like to,
create.
yes, I would like to. There's a part.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm called to do that. We'll see. It's out of my hands. I don't understand God's plan entirely. But yeah, I would like to leave behind a family, and I would like to teach them the lessons I've learned, and also leave behind some kind of business or institution, a place for people to be creative.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. And just for justification, because I know I might get some flack from people. Oh, but you got to ask them thing. Is there anything specific like that you are wrestling with?
Oh, dude, yeah, all the time.
That you're struggling with now, that you're trying to overcome, and what is it?
Oh, all the time.
Wrestling with?
Yeah, I mean, every day. I mean, if you're a believer, you've got to be aware of your sins every single day. But a specific thing is, for a long time, I thought that a man has to be a certain thing. You have to make a certain amount of money, or you have to hit checkpoints. You've got to hit these checkpoints in life, right? Got to have a home and a car and a mortgage and this much invested in the bank, right? And I chased that for a little while, and I still struggle with some external measure of success rather than the true measure of success, which is who am I serving? Who am I helping? What am I providing for other people? And it takes a lot of faith that I definitely don't have or don't always have to go down a limb and just say, almost like I'm not going to even worry about my legacy. I'm not going to worry about things like finances. And I mean, as a man, you're called to steward those things, definitely. But I know for me, I think for a long time, I would worry about, well, you haven't hit this life milestone yet. You haven't hit this one. And I still find myself struggling with that for sure. Sometimes we lay awake at night and we just regret everything we've ever done. Sure. Right?
Yeah.
I still do that. And I still wonder, why have I not achieved this thing? Why have I not made this much money?
Yeah.
So I'm still tempted by those things for sure.
For me, the analogy I always use is I'm filling up all of these vessels, but I couldn't feel any more empty. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I'm filling up all these vessels that I own, but I still feel empty. Right? So what is there that can fill me up? That's the question.
Mm. And what is that?
Well, I think philosophically, that's why religion is very important to people. Even me, and I'm speaking this from a secular perspective. Mm-hmm. I think that's why it's really important, because it gives you a deeper meaning. Like you are more. Like I feel like humans innately, we want to be something more.
Totally.
We strive for that.
Totally.
And so is that just this weird trick of the brain, or is it because there is something more out there?
Totally.
And I think you have a duty and a purpose to find what that is.
Sure.
And for me, it's my faith, and obviously for you, it's your faith as well. I don't know.
I would maybe put it like this, talking about stories. Religion is ultimately, it's like the ultimate story that you tell yourself, or that is told to you, but it's the biggest story that you can use to organize all of existence in your life. And if you don't have that, you're going to be wondering, am I a character? Am I even a character? Am I even in a story? Does my life make sense? And I know I struggled with that for a long time. I still do, but I'm getting to a place where I have a lot more peace. That you're a character in a story, not exactly your story, but you do have a role to play. You're just not the director. And I'm becoming more okay with that.
Boom. That's a wrap, dude. I don't think we should say anything else. Plus, we're stressed for time here.
Cool.
I'm kidding. That was really awesome, man. You are a true visionary, and you are a great artist, and you're a great dude. I'm glad that we became pals, man.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine this, if you will, real quick before I get you to plug in and then I sign off? If you take that job, you don't go to the retreat, or if I'm like, oh, I really can't right now. It's not a good time for me, because there was other reasons I was trying to talk myself out of not going to the retreat, and I could have. Any of those reasons could have been like, oh, well, that's a good excuse. So if either I don't go, or you don't go, or neither one of us goes, then you're not sitting here right now. We're not friends. I don't know you. I don't know any of this. We didn't have this conversation. It does not exist. And that's the stuff that blows my mind, but it also fills me up with something that I can't describe. it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling.
Hope.
Hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with you, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know you, and I'm so happy that you invited me on. I'm just grateful to be here. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
It's been a lot of fun.
Before we go, let me get you to plug in your company if anybody's looking for
Sure.
video stuff and all that.
Yeah. Which camera? This one? This is my camera?
There you go.
Yeah, if anybody needs any video work, we would love to serve you. We, like I said, we really try to strive for high quality and artistry. Check out our website. It's www.urielmedia, URIELMEDIA.com. Appreciate it.
Seth, love you, brother.
Love you, man.
May the force be with you.
Awesome.
And next time you come on the podcast, we got to talk about your podcast.
Okay.
About the Star Wars stuff. We didn't even go into that.
Star
that's
Wars
why
stuff.
you got to come back. Absolutely repeat guest, man.
Cool.
Appreciate you, dude.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's been a really fun episode for me. New friend of mine, Seth. Check out his videography company, Uriel Media. It's really cool. They make really awesome content for if you got a business, you need to make a commercial, whatever you need for like video content. If you go look at some of their stuff, you'll be very impressed, I think. For us, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public. For the audio content, for the video content, go to YouTube, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more content we release once a week at least. And I usually give like a final thought on these episodes, and I don't really know if I have anything to add. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of heaviness. Like what I guess where's your faith at? You know, you might not be a Christian, or I don't know what you are, but what do you put faith in, and what's your story, and what story do you pull from? Because I think that's a very important thing as a person, as a human being, because it's a driving force for your life about what you're trying to do. Are you trying to be better, or what? What are you doing? Do you have a mission? Is there an ultimate goal for what you want to do for life and love and happiness? And it's just something to really think about. Like, people don't think about this stuff enough, and it bugs me. It irritates me, because like, why not? This is our existence here. We're only here for a limited amount of time. So what are you going to do with that? What are you going to learn? What are you going to find out? What are you going to search for? Soul searching, I think, is a really important detail, regardless of where you're at on your personal journey with spirituality or no spirituality or whatever it is. But I think it's really good to find something to believe in. I think that's really the moral of this whole story. To find something to believe in, something that is good and just and has heart, right? That's cheesy. Put it on a sandwich, have a glass of wine, relax, listen to some Kenny G, have a bubble bath. I don't know. But let me ask you this. What do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.